stage, and we have Randall Theater. What that does for us is give us some rooms that have a lot of air around them. We are able to do social distancing. We have marked off the floor in 8-foot squares in our 2 large spaces. We have marked the floor with 6-foot chairs in Randall. And all of this marking of the floor, marking of hallways, keeping the rooms safe, getting the social distancing worked out ahead of time, all that will be done before you arrive that very first day for an in-person class. And it's been done with the university, not just things we decided, but we all walked through, every department, and this happened all over the university, had somebody walk through with a health person, a safety and health person, to help them figure out how to use their rooms. And you can be guaranteed that if a room was too small and it wasn't appropriate and social distancing wasn't possible, it just won't be used. And so we were lucky that we had our big spaces. A lot of the art of acting classes and a lot of acting 1, the things that kind of start out at the beginning for, as in the gen ed art of acting, but as in freshman for acting 1, were able to be in person because of those big spaces. So that is really exciting to us, and we have been working with the adjuncts who teach those classes and the grad students who teach those classes to talk about the strategies with masks. Social distancing and masks will always be required. They will also be required outside of the building as well. There are a couple spaces outside that could have classes. Obviously, we'd have to worry about weather and that kind of thing. Those will, we will try to figure out a way to sign those out. But for the most part, being outside doesn't mean no masks and no social distancing. It's all related. In the production area, what we have planned is something that's very exciting. We are able to do things that we've never been able to do before because of the digital environment that we're in. We've looked at it as a great opportunity to try new and different things. We are starting out simple at the beginning of the fall, working ourselves up to some more advanced technology with green screen technology and AI and things that you see in the movies. And so one of the places we're starting is that we're able to get Country Wife back up. It was the one that we weren't able to finish back in the spring. So Country Wife will be produced. The cast will go back into a short bit of rehearsal to get it back up on its feet, and it will be zoomed live from the actors' homes with some costume pieces that will be sent. In all the things that we're zooming from the participants' homes, we will be working with the students to check their internet connection, check their cameras, check their backgrounds, all the things that will help make it as effective as possible. As we work through this semester, As You Like It will also have some new kind of technologies of 3D, sort of 360 immersive environments that we're going to make digitally. We're going to insert the actors into those, and that will be filmed on Tomlinson again with social distancing. Really exciting project. We have a great project that is Dr. Kamiko Williams Witherspoon's Safe to Brave, that will be brought back. She is rewriting it right now. She is reworking some of the pieces. The cast will be some folks who were in it before. There will be new people in it. It will be rewritten, remounted, and in that case, we also will be able to use some digital technology for that one. Getting into a couple things that were student-driven, there is a new workshop committee made up of students who are searching for effective workshops for us to bring in. And here's the great thing about that. This semester, we don't have to worry about bringing somebody in because we are able to Zoom. So we're able to get some great workshop guest artists. There's also a play reading series that a student group is working on through the acting concentration. It will be open to everybody, but the start of it came from the acting concentration students. And so what we have seen is a lot of people re-looking at how we have done things, how we've presented things, how we included people, how we created community, and making sure that the community is just as effective, even if we aren't right beside each other. So that's a little introduction to the fall, and I will let Rollo take over this question.
Thank you, Fred. So as Professor Duer said, that the university and various staff and administrators and faculty members have really worked a lot over the semester, over the summer terms, I guess, in order to make sure that students have a very safe environment in order to resume classes, whether it's face-to-face or hybrid. And certainly the online piece of it has been worked on as well. Many faculty members, full-time and adjunct, have been working to hone their skills so that we can make the most of the technology and the resources that we have in order to provide a quality experience. In addition to some of the things that Professor Duer talked about, there have been questions within other student major sessions that we've been having about where students go when they have an in-person or hybrid class, and then they suddenly have to run to a Zoom course that's going to be on Zoom. And so I do know that the university is trying to create these spaces called, I think they're going to call them Zoom zones, where students will be able to go from a face-to-face situation into a space that is very safe and secure for a student to quietly engage with their laptop or with a desktop computer in a Zoom session, if that happens to be something that they need. The university is also trying to create spaces that students can go and remain socially distanced, but can relax and eat and drink coffee and those kinds of things. So please be on the lookout for signs that will lead you to those kinds of spaces as well when you get back onto campus. Bathrooms, in order to make sure that we are being as safe as possible, there have been these devices attached to the bottom of each bathroom door called, I think it's called a toe pull, where you'll be able to open the bathroom doors with your foot. A lot of the fixtures have been retrofitted with digital sensors so that you do not have to touch the fixtures in order to wash your hands or to flush. And so, and we hope that, again, we want safety to be a primary concern for all of you and for each person to take part in making sure that the campus remains safe. Other questions that often have come up in these student sessions has to do with what happens if someone gets sick or temperature is going to be taken at the door of every building. So I'll answer those if I can. First, I'll take the second question first, in that we will not be doing temperature checks, but we are asking every student, in addition to always wearing a face covering, washing your hands frequently, and maintaining social distance, we want you to monitor your own health. And if you're not feeling well, you should not be going to class. You should not be exposing yourself potentially to others if you're not feeling well. So please make sure that you are constantly monitoring your own health and know what your sort of baseline temperature is for your body and when that temperature is running somewhat irregular. The second thing is Temple University will have its own testing facility and quarantine facilities in the event that you need to take advantage and use those. So just know that the university is doing everything possible in order to make sure that you have a very safe and exciting experience, whether you are on campus for class or whether you're in a hybrid situation or in an online setting. So I'll stop there. Thank you, Professor Duer.
Great. There was a question about casting, not directly casting, but all shows are always open to everybody across the university. And because we picked a season that diverse casting is the way that show needs to be done, we think that the casting will be even more diverse than we've seen other years. And so that is a way that we also have been able to add more things to the season, like bringing in Kamika's piece. So we believe that will be an effective way to address some of the things that some people are feeling. Doug, did you want to add something?
I have something else to add.
I think one thing everybody should understand is that kind of because of the dilemma we're in with regard to what live performance means in live audiences, the upside of that, if you can believe there is one, is that it allows for us to do quite a few more projects than we've normally been able to schedule before, because the one thing that has always restricted us is space. And so what we've been learning has contributed to a kind of an explosion of ideas about providing opportunities for students across the spectrum. Since the whole world is sort of involved in as we know it, is kind of locked down with regard to what live performance means. I think that the opportunities for creative and compelling storytelling that is not only effective and robust, but in an educational setting, providing kind of a cornucopia of opportunities beyond which I think in a normal academic year we've been always been a consummation devoutly to be wished, but because of the space restrictions, that has been a real challenge for us. So there are a lot of great ideas on the table. There are a lot of great projects in the pipeline. As you know, as far as making sure that everybody has an equal chance to participate, we're being assertively conscious of that, and are being responsive to all of the concerns that have come up with regard to issues of social justice over the past few months, including those that are internal to our own life, let's say in TFMA in the theater department, but also in the world at large. And you'll be seeing, right as we get into the semester, a much more open and active dialogue surrounding those issues within the Center for the Performing and Cinematic Arts, and certainly within TFMA. So we look forward to your participation on every level.
I wanted to answer one of the questions from the Q&A area, and Catherine asked about contracts. And one of the things that we're a little unsure of is how many production opportunities, the number of production opportunities we will have, although we know we will have some. And so the way we are going to deal with this is we won't have contracts this fall. Nobody will be penalized for not having a certain number of contracts based on what is happening this fall. But as we get the production opportunities sort of enumerated and when we know how many we need, there will be a chance for new things like filming and editing, the sort of stage management tasks that have to do with getting people on and off camera, with the kind of wrangling of the social distancing when we do use Tomlinson for the couple projects. So there will be production opportunities, and all you need to do is let us know that you would like to work on something, and it would be that kind of opportunity will be an independent study credit instead of the contract, instead of the 1087 section 2. 1087 section 1 will still happen, and it is very exciting for exactly what Doug just said. We have the opportunity for many more people to come in through Zoom, and so we're looking at a great number of guests, and some of them even reached out to us and said, hey, I'd love to Zoom in. It's so much easier now. So that kind of answers Catherine. Rollo, do you want to take the
Yes.
question? Yeah.
Yes, Fred, thank you so much. There is a question that has come in about training. Will there be training of faculty with regard to issues of diversity? And the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, the university has been, as you know, very responsive to the social justice issues that have been taking place in our world. And we, the Center for the Performing and Cinematic Arts, are going to definitely do our part to make sure that we create the type of environment for everyone that in our community, one that is inclusive and one that is welcoming and respectful. So we have actually just begun the development of a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that will be comprised of faculty members, current students from each academic major, as well as one faculty member from each major, some staff members, some administrators, and we're even going to begin reaching out to alums. And that's very important to us. And as part of this ongoing process, we are going to have training for every single faculty and staff member and student. And we're trying to figure out ways to make that an efficient and effective process. We've been in touch. I just had a long meeting with Valerie Dudley, Dr. Valerie Dudley, in the IDEAL office yesterday, and she has already begun training for various departments. And we will continue to ramp that up, because we believe that that is a very important component to make sure that our community, in particular CPCA, is a very inclusive one. So thank you for that question.
There's a question. I was starting to type it, but I will go ahead and answer it. George had asked about, are we going to be looking at more diverse scripts? And one of the things that has come out of all of the things that we're addressing right now is that we need a place to collect those scripts and those titles, and we will be asking you all next fall to help us fill up this database so that we will have a listing for all classes to go to when we want to find more diverse scripts. Plays by artists of color, Black plays, it could be design classes, it could be acting classes, and it's just a matter of trying to get them all into a place that we can then go in, that a student who wants to submit something for the season, or season advisory, can go in and look at titles, so that we as faculty can be more aware of titles that we might not know. And so we will open that up as soon as we figure out the technicality of how we're going to do that. But there will be a place for everybody to participate in that. So I hope that answers your question. And George, if you want to be involved, I will make sure to contact you when we start working on that one.
Yeah, and I think that that's not just about new material, but it's also looking back at the body of material that exists and dramaturgically. Just some of you may know that I used to be the artistic director of the Arena Stage in Washington, D.C. And when I was there, we had a program back in the 80s, actually, called New Voices for a New America, which was a commissioning program that was specifically geared toward plays that demanded the presence of a multicultural group of artists and invited the presence of a multicultural community from an audience perspective. And we sort of made that sort of a centerpiece of how we conducted the creation of new work and put our efforts into creating new work that spoke to those things. Interestingly enough, as you know, we're very well connected with young playwrights. And I think that a good example of that is PYP this fall, and what plays will be coming in via PYP, which will also be happening in a digital space, which also increases the opportunity for more exposure to that work and a larger ability for students to participate in that work in a way that doesn't exclude them from other work. Because as we talked about before, with the whole space and scheduling thing and rehearsals and overlapping in productions, there were times when people could have participated in things that would have been meaningful to them and exciting for them from both a learning and an artistic experience point of view. Now with this new environment that we're in, I think we're going to be able to have more exposure to the work that we do and more frequent participation of our student body in the work that we're doing.
There's questions that have come by as we've been talking. So the question about the contracts, you did hit the nail on the head there as to how we will do this in terms of the permanent record and the DARs for the students. And we're working with advising to figure that part out. If you haven't used the new advising team yet, they're very thorough, and every student has a what would you call it? It's like a running dialogue of what advising has talked to them about, what we as faculty have talked to that student about, and so we will see the entire 4 years documented a lot better than it was in the past. So that's how we're going to work with the contract question. The social media racial concerns were how soon, and the answer to that, how soon will it be dealt with the incoming class, and that is right away. 1087, David Ingram is working right now on getting the very first day and the very second Friday of 1087, working on guests. Musical theater has met as a group in Zoom over this summer, and they are also working on it with their students. And every syllabus will have a social media statement and material that every instructor will talk about on the very first day of classes. More will probably come on that. The online rehearsal question, the question was about how would rehearsals look. And as of right now, a lot of the rehearsals will be online. That doesn't mean that students couldn't rehearse in person, but you have to understand that if you're doing something for class, you have to still do social distancing. So you will all have to be responsible on your own to really be vigilant. And we are working toward starting out with those online rehearsals. How many rehearsals would we need to do for camera blocking and some of the filming things that we're doing? So we're still working that out. I believe I caught that. Tell me if I missed. Oh, somebody asked about self-education for faculty. And the answer is yes. We hear you, we heard you, and our first concern was making sure we were educated, and that's what we've been working on since May, and we will continue. It's not a process that ends.
I want to jump in and just continue to add to those statements. Faculty are continuing to work individually, and departments are continuing to work to make sure that they're much more educated about the experiences that go beyond their own lived experience. One of the things that I encourage the students who are here on this call to do, and to encourage other students who are in the theater department, to help all of us to create the kind of climate and atmosphere where we are able to have conversations with each other and to enter into dialogue with each other and to learn from each other and learn about each other in a way that it can help all of us to become educated about each other in terms of where we come from and who we are and what our values are, and how all of that richness adds to the experience that we have in our educational environments. There was also a question about hiring of Black faculty and Black artists. I know that this is a top priority from the dean. As many of you all know, because of the COVID situation, we are in a bit of a hiring freeze. But there are some ways in which we can continue to have Black voices take part in the curriculum through being guest artists and guest lecturers until such time we are able to obviously hire faculty full-time, faculty of color, particularly Black faculty. But I do know this is a top priority from the dean's office, and I encourage students to continue to hold us accountable for that, because we do want to make sure that we have the kind of inclusive environment that adds to the richness of the educational experience. And we cannot do that unless we have voices from all different backgrounds, especially and including Black voices.
Yeah, and I just want to add that you may, where things are a little tighter with regard to staff as a result of where the university is and as a result of the lockdown. There have been changes across the entire university. Some positions that were waiting to be filled are going to continue to wait to be filled as a result of that, and some positions on the staff side of things have been eliminated as a way of making sure that what resources we do have are being prioritized for student experience, which has really been how the reallocation of resources across the university has been focused.
There was I'm going to switch gears for a second. There were a few questions about auditions and Country Wife. Auditions will be through submitted tapes. I don't know if we call them tapes anymore, but will be submitted virtually. And there are going to be several announcements coming out up until we get to that Monday when we start, and then another announcement on that Monday for people who might not have gone through their orientation, for freshmen, for people who might not be on the email list getting their emails over the summer yet. And the way it will work is the taped auditions will be put in a Google Drive, for want of a better word. It might not be actually Google, but it will be put somewhere. All the directors for the whole fall semester will go up there and peruse them, and they are going to be able to be submitted from August 24th, that's the Monday that we start classes, through the Thursday the 27th. And that's when things are due at the end of the day on Thursday the 27th. Country Wife is live Zoomed from students' homes on Friday the 28th and Saturday the 29th. And part of that has to do with the royalties, having it go out twice. The playwright is on board, is very excited to see it. And part of that was an amendment to the contract for the royalties that had already been paid for back in the spring. The reason the rehearsal schedule hasn't gone out yet, is we have just now sort of solidified it. And one of your cast members came to me and asked some questions, and I went through a lot of our decision-making process around Country Wife. And so I just need to have a meeting with the rest of the cast, with myself and with Brandon, to get the rest of that info out. If there are things you haven't heard, it's not on purpose. It's just that's how fast it's all happening and how fast we're trying to work it out. I will drop Brandon a note about Country Wife, and we will try to get that going right away. Oh, Brandon is right here. Go ahead.
I am working right now with the stage manager at producing, getting all the schedules together. We're just working today. It'll be within the next 24 hours that you hear when we're going to meet and discuss that.
Well, there you go. See how amazing this new Zoom is? That was a little bit of a joke. Auditions, Country Wife. Did I forget another one that was related? I think I caught those. I think I caught all those questions. I will mention something about the season. I didn't really go very far in depth back in that intro, but I will now. Seems like we have time. Musicals are a little tougher when there are singing in close proximity and dance numbers with people in close proximity. And so a book musical that has a linear storyline from beginning to end and multiple numbers and people rushing on stage and rushing off stage, that is extremely unhealthy to do. Passing through somebody's air, sweating, dancing, body contact, all of that stuff is not healthy. It is against the Philadelphia protocols, the Pennsylvania state protocols, and Temple's protocols. So we are not doing live singing in our spaces, and this is across the center from Boyer and from theater. And so one of the things that we have put forth, and you probably saw it last week, working with song cycles, which one connotation would be it's a musical review, but the better connotation is it's themed around a certain topic, written by a particular songwriter, book writer. And these song cycles, there will be 3 of them across the semester, spaced across the semester. They will all be auditioned at the same time as Safe to Brave, As You Like It, Laramie Project. Am I forgetting one? I think I got them all. Oh, and PYP. So all of those things will audition at the same time. All the directors will be looking at those audition tapes at the same time. And what we have the opportunity to do with that kind of way of presenting music is the training and the pedagogy is a little more individualized. As we work toward As You Like It, we will be experimenting with how we can put 2 people on stage with social distancing and film them together. It's just too hard to do with linear musicals. So we've reached out to composers. We are still working out the final details on the kind of song cycles we're doing. So I don't want to give away too much of that as we're still working. And I will let Rollo take over the question about Boyer, because he is close to that side of things.
Yes, thank you, Fred. So I'm reading the question. no live singing policy. Yeah. So the Boyer College has adopted a no singing policy simply because of the risks that are involved with the spread of aerosols. And these are tiny particles that come out of our mouth and out of our nose that could potentially spread the virus. And so right now we are not doing any singing on the Boyer side. And there are students who've asked about how do we practice, how do we rehearse, and we're still sort of working out how we can make that happen because students still have to continue to vocalize and practice, particularly doing so if their apartment or their dormitory doesn't allow them to be able to do that. So we are definitely looking into that, but as far as vocal ensembles are concerned and private lessons, we are all doing all of those things in a remote fashion for the safety of our students.
Great question about Laramie project came up. What it looks like, what are the details? As you can imagine, if you have ever had to work with a publishing company with plays and royalties and music and rights and all that kind of stuff, they are rewriting the rules from last March as to how things are presented. Larian Project at the moment, we haven't been able to get them to answer us about the royalties and how we can present. So in a simple sentence, presenting something for live audience where the audience is seated and presenting something in a digital format that then has our archival record are two totally different things. The amount of people who see it are different. So Laramie Project, we're still waiting to hear, but our intent, we're saying to hear from the publishers about the rights. Our intent on that one is late enough in the season that we believe we can do a live stream from one of our spaces. That is our intent. I think everybody has been watching the news to know that we need to be ready for whatever happens. It is a little unpredictable, but we're working ourselves up to that point, and that would still have to be with social distancing. And the way that one is written, it is almost like a series of monologues. So on that one, we can do social distancing. We are working toward having audiences back in the spring for the two MFA, the new projects, and coming from the MT MFA program. And so that's kind of how we're working through the year. We hope that will still be possible.
There was a question sort of reworded as it relates to the social media, social justice issue. And I'm not going to read the question out loud, but there are students obviously who are wondering about how that situation is being handled and dealt with. And what Professor Duer has already mentioned is that at the very beginning of the fall semester, we will be addressing these matters on a broader scale with students and trying to, of course, obviously deal more deeply with social justice issues, deal with the harm that students have felt that it has caused to them and to our campus, and also dealing with the healing process that has to move along with that. So please know that while we can't speak in specifics right now, because this is obviously a sensitive matter, just know that that issue that was mentioned in the chat, that specific incident is being dealt with and will continue to be dealt with, so that we are minimizing the opportunity of bringing further harm to our campus and making sure that students are healing as a result of being affected by some of these social media incidents. So please know that we are on it. Thank you.
Rollo, there's a choir question there.
Sorry, I had to sort of catch up with the feed here. So yes, there's a question about how the choir courses will be handled, and if the class may still be listed on the schedule, your student's schedule, or your schedule if you are a student, as being hybrid. And the reason we did that is because even though 90% of the choir classes will be held virtually online, we do want to reserve some opportunities throughout the semester for the students to gather more in sort of a social context, even if we're not able to sing. So that's probably why the choir is listed as hybrid, because the choir will probably get together a few times throughout the semester just for social purposes and maybe discussion purposes, as opposed to actual singing. All of the singing will continue to happen online. So thank you for that question.
And that's a good example of a hybrid course. And so by taking out the time, if it was changed to say it wasn't in person, there would be no way for that instructor to also have some time together with the group broken up into smaller groups.
I'm happy to take the next question to just sort of reiterate some things, Fred. So I know that there are folks who are coming into the webinar later, and that's totally fine. And so there's a question about Temple, how it will take steps to proactively address racist and problematic behavior. We are continuing to, through this new Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, going to work to identify any policies, procedures, or practices present or past that have marginalized students or have been unwelcoming or offensive in some particular way. And to be honest with you, in order to identify some of those issues, we need student input and we need your help because we don't possibly know everything that has affected you from a social justice standpoint, but we want to hear that. We want to listen and we want to learn. And as part of that healing process and moving forward, there has to be an acknowledgement and a recognition of some of these issues that have concerned students and staff and faculty. And we are prepared to do that. We are definitely going to do that. And I give you my word, and we all give you our word. Please hold us accountable if you feel as though this is not a process that is working to assist our entire campus community. I can also tell you the administration is working on a reporting policy, a reporting process by which students can, in a much more clear and straightforward manner, find avenues for reporting any concerns that they may have with regard to discrimination or harassment, marginalization, microaggressions, any of those kinds of incidents. And so we are going to make sure that we move forward in a way that is productive and will help our entire campus community. Doug, I know you spoke a little bit about being an ombuds person as one of those people. You may want to, if you'd like to speak a little bit more about that process we're working on for students to report any concerns.
Yeah, we, from want of a better expression, policies and procedures that have to do with any form of seeking redress of grievance. And I'm using that as a legal term, but basically, the ombudsperson system in the university is connected to all of the other organizations within the university that deal directly with things like discrimination and harassment, the Title IX office, the equal, the EOC, places where traditionally any incidents or concerns that have to do with incidents of harm or harassment of any nature are dealt with. The ombudsperson system is really the sort of local, home-based within your school and college way of addressing concerns. and it is a confidential and advisory sort of process. The ombudsperson is someone who is capable of meeting with anyone who wants to voice concern or deal with seeking some kind of redress of grievance. And I'm not talking about simply grade grievances. There's certainly a policy for that, but we're really talking about personal issues that arise. The ombudsperson is really someplace to confide, to seek direction to other resources within the university, to try and figure out what to decide what it is, what sort of outcome are you looking for, based on an incident that has affected you in some way, or has affected someone that you know who hasn't or hasn't felt or is not hasn't yet taken advantage of seeking redress of grievance. We're going to make all of this more transparent. It's always been there, but within the school and college, within the Center for Performing and Cinematic Arts, the department chairs working together with the faculty and staff. We're providing. We're going to provide something that is available to all students and all faculty and staff, that makes it a lot easier for you to navigate a path towards seeking redress of grievance. It's always been there, and to be clear, we're talking about things that the university can do. That's separate from something that would happen in terms of a civil suit or criminal or criminal activity. If you sort of look at redress of grievance and happening in different ways, that we're really talking about what the university itself is capable of offering, and what the university is capable of with regard to addressing outcomes that the university is capable of enforcing, apart from civil or criminal procedures.
Are there any specific questions about classes? One of the things that we have been telling people, that if you want to know, some people are making decisions based on how the class is being done online, and the theater instructors have been very open with those kind of questions. If you want to email them and say, tell me some of the things we're going to do, how we're going to do this. They have been very open, and they have to be thinking about how they're going to present. It's not like it was back in the spring. The syllabus and how they're doing their material, how they're working with their class, how they're engaging, how they're working with community, with some of the social issues, all that has to be vetted in their syllabus through the dean's office. So everyone is working hard to make sure that it is as effective as possible for you. But if you have a specific question you want to ask me, or you have a specific question about a class, especially if it's an instructor you know, you're free to reach out to them. If you need to reach out to me, I believe Jason's going to put the emails up there. We are all here for you guys. Any parents, we would gladly answer your questions as well. is it that awkward moment when you like don't know how to say goodbye to somebody, or is it just we ran out of questions? Can we maybe call this the beginning of more discussion? It's something that we want more of, and we will gladly do another one of these. It's not, we're in a time that we're all wondering, so one day to the next sometimes. But how we're working on it and what we're planning is totally open now. We did publish that. You saw it last week. We're getting more and more things together with rehearsals, with schedules, with streaming dates. Just a little funny thing I'll tell you. As we're working on the calendar, we had to decide, is it the streaming date or is it the date we film it? That's a whole nother thing for us. So it's making the calendar sort of different for us. And what we're finding is we could film it, edit it, and the streaming might not happen till later. So it's a whole new way for us to think. So please hang in there with us as we try to navigate this, and know that we are always here at the end of an email for you or a phone call.
Yeah, I'm going to head to my next destination. So thank you. All.
The parent who's asking about their son's course, email me and help you with the I don't know what I don't know part. I would gladly help you with that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you, all of our panelists. And yeah, we'll be happy to do another one of this. This will be recorded, so we'll put out the recording as well for folks who couldn't be here today. And if we want to do another one soon, we will. We'll put it all together. Thanks,
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye
bye.
bye.